Hello. In this topic, we'll look at letter knowledge. Letter knowledge is one of the key early literacy components that helps children learn to read, to decode words. So letter knowledge is knowing that letters are different from each other, that the same letter can look different, and that letters have names and represent sounds. So why is letter knowledge important? Well, knowing the letters helps children sound out words when they learn to read. One of the beginning skills for letter knowledge is learning shapes. Researchers have found that children learn to recognize letters by their shapes. Because young children use all their senses, including manipulating things, they learn about shapes through playing with things like balls and blocks. Here you can see the relationship between recognizing shapes, such as a sphere, a ball, which becomes a circle when it's two-dimensional, and then onto the letters. So a B is a circle with a line coming out of it. A C is a circle with a hole in it. And you can see also how the triangular block becomes a triangle and helps to relate to some of these letters. So when we talk about shapes or do activities with shapes, we're supporting letter knowledge. Another beginning concept for letter knowledge is noticing visual similarities and differences. Children will need to learn not only what is alike and different, but also what are significant differences. So here you see the letter N written in different colors and in different sizes. But the color and the size doesn't make any difference. It's still an N. But you can see the orientation of the letter, like an N becomes a Z, and the height of a letter, like the lowercase n and the lowercase h. So the height of the line makes a difference. So when we talk about how two things might look similar or different, we are supporting letter knowledge. When we do a matching activity on a flannel board or suggest matching activities that parents can do with their children, we are supporting letter knowledge. For our older children, as they talk about the letters themselves, it's important to keep in mind that letters are abstract. Children can relate to letters more easily when they are connected to something that has meaning to them, such as their name or something they like. Here's an overview of the development of letter knowledge from discerning shapes to connecting letters to their sounds. You can also see this progression reflected in the early literacy planning tool as the strategies progress for each age group. So now let's look at how we can share books to intentionally support letter knowledge. It's how we share books to develop the early literacy component. I'll share some examples with you, and keep in mind that you would not be doing all of these in one story time. Just as these are examples in the early literacy planning tool, these are also some examples to help you see the possibilities of ways to support letter knowledge. So let's look at our youngest children, babies and toddlers, and ways we can use books for them to support letter knowledge. So we're starting with the concepts of shapes and visual similarities and differences. Because babies focus on faces, describing the differences in faces with different emotions is one opportunity to help them focus on visual similarities and differences. And of course, there are lots of books that talk about shapes for young children. For our toddlers and twos, parents are more likely to talk about letters when they actually read an alphabet book. But really, they can use any book. For example, in Chugga Chugga Choo Choo, what shape are the wheels? They're circles. And we can also point out the letter O in Choo Choo. For our preschoolers, we can use books with clear pictures. What shapes can you see, for example, in the quilt, in Max's nose? The moon is a crescent. Preschoolers can do more with the letters themselves, relating some letters to their sounds. Alphabet books can be read from cover to cover, or a child may choose a page of interest and then just talk about that letter. They often like to start with the first word and letter in their name. Alphabet books that show both upper and lowercase letters help children understand that the same letter can look different. When we write children's names or label items, we should be writing in both upper and lowercase letters. So now that we've looked at supporting letter knowledge through books, let's look at how we can support letter knowledge through the other practices. So for talking, we can share with parents that they can talk about shapes, about how things look alike and different, and letters wherever they are throughout the day. Singing can be a great way to support letter knowledge. The alphabet song is an obvious choice. Take a moment now to think about what other songs you might use for letter knowledge. Pause the recording and jot down your ideas in the Learner's Guide for this topic. When you're done, you can resume the recording. Here are some ideas that other Storytime providers have come up with. So one person was clapping to the ABCs at each story time. You can sing the ABC song, the alphabet song, to different tunes, like to the tune of Mary Had a Little Lamb. We have the bingo song. So there was a farmer had a dog and bingo was his name-o. And a lot of times we end up with a lot of claps. But you can also reverse it and have it B, 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 and bingo was his name-o. As you go along, it will go like this. B-I-N-G, 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 and bingo was his name-o. So by the end of the song, you're actually saying all the letters instead of all the claps. So that supports letter knowledge. Another song is I like to eat apples and bananas, apples and bananas, eeples and beninis. Okay? And on YouTube, you can find a number of alphabet songs. There's an ABC Mouse that has a song for each letter. They suggested Greg and Steve alphabet song called ABC Rock. And one librarian used Bumblebee Buzz Buzz by Laurie Berkner. And she said that they give the letter B to pretend it's a set of bee wings as they go buzzing along. Writing, of course, supports letter knowledge as children try to write their names or other words that are important to them. Both fine motor for small muscles and gross motor development for large muscles are precursors to learning to write. So whenever you're doing finger plays or movement activities or craft activities where they have to use their fingers and their bodies to and help them gain control, then you are supporting later writing. Here you can see the development of writing from scribbles to writing words. It's important to encourage parents to support those scribbles because they lead to writing. Sometimes you'll hear parents say, oh, he can't write, he just scribbles. You can encourage them and say, oh, well, you know what? Scribbling is the beginning of writing. Playing with letters, such as magnet letters, is one obvious connection to letter knowledge. However, block play also supports letter knowledge. Children are learning shapes, which is how they recognize letters. They're also learning about the orientation of the pieces and visual similarities and differences. Puzzle play is also a good way to support letter knowledge as they turn pieces to get the correct orientation to fit the piece. So here we are once again with the Early Literacy Planning Tool and the worksheet. I bet you're seeing a pattern here. You've already checked off some of the items that you're doing now that you can see support letter knowledge. So as you look at this early literacy planning tool again, what other strategies might you like to try to be more intentional around letter knowledge? This concludes the presentation on letter knowledge. Thank you.